Welcome to the Atlanta Real Estate Podcast. Our mission is to highlight Atlanta, the lifestyle, the amazing homes, communities, industry professionals, and the exceptional Atlanta real estate agents who make it all happen. So buyers and sellers can make better decisions about where to live and which agent is right for you. I'm your host, Mike Miller, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing YouTube sensation, your favorite real estate broker and appraiser, Miss Shonnie Alridge.
Oh, thank you. What a warm introduction. Thank you,
Oh,
Mike.
absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said to you, I just love your personality and your smile. And
Thank you.
you really got a lot going on YouTube. And I guess the first most obvious question that I have is, with YouTube, being a broker and an appraiser, when do you sleep? I mean,
That's so funny. I do factor in time to sleep.
okay.
Um, I've learned how to really, I really am a proponent of having a calendar together, like having everything on the calendar. So there's a designated time for all of my activities, and I really stick to that heavily. If it's not on my calendar, I probably won't even do it because it's
Yeah.
not on my radar.
Yeah. So is that your secret? You're constantly, scheduling everything and you have time blocks?
Time blocks. It's really important. It helps me to stay on task and complete task and things like that. So yeah,
Okay. All right. It's good to know because I
so
mean,
important.
yeah, everybody needs to understand, time management and how to make it happen. And you have a lot on your plate. So thank you for joining me here again on the podcast. It's really a pleasure.
Yes, it's a
Uh,
pleasure on my end as well.
oh, good, good. Um, so if you don't know, Miss Shawnee has a lot of content on YouTube. It's great content, a lot of good information. She's also the expert on McDonough and has a lot to share about McDonough, the area, and the homes, really. So,
Yeah.
but before we get into McDonough, I do have a question, and that
Yes.
is, from what I understand, you were a real estate agent before you became an appraiser. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And
Uh,
so because of me being an agent, for years, for a really majority of my career, because I just became an appraiser just recently there. But because I had been doing valuations for clients in with my real estate hat on,
uh,
a segue into appraisals wasn't that difficult. It almost made sense. And
okay.
so that's kind of where that came about, just the idea of like when COVID hit, everyone was like, okay, what are we doing? And our minds became more creative. We started to think bigger. And so during the pandemic, the height of it, I just decided, you know what, let me just go ahead and just take some classes and just go for it. And so that's what happened.
Okay. Excellent. So do you find that, I mean, you kind of alluded to it that the real estate experience you had made it a lot easier to be an appraiser.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you feel like what you know as an appraiser helps you be a better real estate agent as well?
Yes. Because for a long time, I didn't really connect the appraiser at all because I didn't really have the interactions with appraisers. Really, in my whole entire career, I didn't have much interaction with appraisers. We interact with the loan officer, the closing attorney, the home inspector, but
Mm.
not so much the appraisers, not a whole lot of interaction. So um, now I'm able to kind of see like what is the appraiser? What are they doing? What are they responsible for? What kind of pressures are they under? Um, and so I'm able to kind of humanize them because I didn't have that ability before, and see how really important. I mean, I knew it was important, but oh my gosh, the responsibility of being an appraiser is really, really huge. And
Yeah.
it's really an honor to even say I'm, licensed to be one. But yeah, it's been a very interesting journey so far.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same for me. It's, not something that I thought I would be doing. And if I'd have known everything I had to do in order to, to become an appraiser. Uh, I might have thought, a little more about it,
Yes.
but it's an amazing path. And I saw one of the videos that you did about encouraging women to become appraisers. I really liked that.
Yeah, yeah. I realized that I was looking at, so when I decided, oh, I'm going to be an appraiser, I was doing all this research, Mike.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, so, Georgia Real Estate Commission has information, they have their annual report. And I was reading the report and I was like, whoa, there's such a small number of appraisers in comparison to real estate licensees that sell, salespeople.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, dang, it's not that many. And when I think back in retrospect of like appraisers calling me saying, hey, we need to schedule an appraisal inspection, a lot of them were men. And so
Yeah.
I'm like, there's not a lot of women here in this area. And there should be. I feel like there should be more women here. And yeah, so that's my thing. Like I just want to really encourage women to have a look at it because I think the first thing we do is when you think about real estate, you're thinking about, oh, I'm going to be a sales agent, you
Right.
know.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Do you find that, now that you know both sides, that you rely on real estate agents more, or you open the door to real estate agents to talk to you instead of just like having a wall between the agent and the appraiser? Like, because the agent has, like comps that they use to value the property and
You know
maybe
what?
sharing it. Yeah. Go ahead.
You're right. Because I love the idea that the agent has provided some comps. Now, I may not use all of them
Right.
because I got to do my own research, but
Right.
it only helps. It only helps if they say, hey, here's a list of the repairs that have been done on this home. That helps me to factor that in when I put the report together. Um, and then the comps again, I'll look at those and say, oh, these are great comps that I could use, or maybe not, because it needs to be comparable to the subject property. And so I don't really have a lot of conversations with agents. I think because there's a culture in place in real
Mm.
estate that's maybe unspoken, where the agent doesn't really weigh in a whole lot.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I haven't really gone against that. But if they say, hey, um, here's some upgrades right here on the counter on this nice, pretty sheet,
Hmm.
I'll take it with me
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
have a look at it, and stuff. But I really haven't had much interaction with agents.
Yeah, yeah, it's weird that way. But I agree. I like it when agents say, this is like, even if they say this is where the home was, but then we installed new LVP on the floors, we painted all the walls, every surface has been touched, that gives me a baseline. I understand what they did to,
Right.
to make the home, appeal to more buyers, and it helps with the condition adjustment.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because that value, it weighs in. I definitely wouldn't want to value someone's house and they've done upgrades and then undervalue it. And they got
Right,
new floors, like you said, new light fixtures and things like that. And I didn't take that into account. That's not fair.
right,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Um, well, so moving to McDonough,
Mhm.
um, it's a great area. It's growing, right?
Woo! It is. It really is. It's really interesting because you can tell when the area is really up and coming when you see new development, like new businesses and, coming in, banks, and stuff like that, and um, new construction communities and things. And so it's really happening a lot in Henry County, especially McDonough. You have all these new stores and entertainment so that there was one point in time, McDonough, Henry County was just like the fastest growing county in Georgia. And, you know, um, it was like, okay, it's getting there, but now it's like it is there. You have, skating rinks and bowling and tons of shopping and tons of eateries and all this stuff. So, I mean, it's really like the place to be. You don't have to go to Atlanta to have a good time. You can totally stay in McDonough and find something to do with the family, you know.
Yeah, that's great. So plenty of shopping, plenty of entertainment, and recreation. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, not that you would know specifically, but do they have a big park system in Henry County?
Parks.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, yes. They have so many parks. Um, and you know, I think that's a good thing because you know, when we were dealing with the pandemic and we were all stuck in a house, you
Yeah.
know, it's like, where do we go to get some fresh air? Where can we go? But in Henry County, as a whole, there's tons of parks and parks where you can, you know, they have sports, you know, baseball and things like that, and then in playgrounds and what have you. So there's tons of places to go, and just if you want to leave the house to go and hang out. But now the new construction communities are having amenities. So you may not even have to go to the park anymore. You can just go to the park or the playground within your actual subdivision. But
Right.
there's
Yeah.
this out, yeah, uh-huh, maybe a pool there or something in the new construction or newer communities. So you may not even have to go to one of the parks within the county or the city. But yeah, it's just um, Henry County is a great place, and McDonough is really turning. It's just shaping up to be like an ideal place, suburban area for a family.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Is that the predominant buyer? New families or
Yes.
families? Okay.
Mhm. Yep, families
Excellent.
or, retirees because
Okay.
it's not see, it's really perfectly situated because it's not too far from, Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, is not too far from Atlanta, which is really when you think about Georgia, you know, you think about Atlanta. So it's not too far from Atlanta. It's like really the ideal place to be is on Interstate 75, you know, so you hop on there and you
Uh,
can go to Florida, you
yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
things. So it's really the ideal spot to feel like it's suburban. It's got that suburban feel to it, a little bit of rural, just a little pinch of rural, but it's just really a cool place for families to settle down and raise the kids and stuff.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Um, is and I'm assuming there's I think I've heard, I'm trying to remember, but there's some new employers there. There's a lot of employment centers, and it is close to Atlanta. So if you did, work in Atlanta, you could get there easily. Just quick shoot up 75, right?
Absolutely. And you know, it's interesting because just in Georgia in general, we have a lot of Fortune 500 companies and Fortune 1000 companies. So, you know, when people decide to move and relocate to Georgia, you know, there's job opportunity here. It really is. There's so
Yep.
many companies to be a part of that's, you know, currently hiring now. So, I was just talking to a couple a few days ago, and they're coming in from Florida, but he works with Microsoft.
Uh,
And so Microsoft is here in Georgia.
yeah.
So he's wanting to come to Georgia to move. So yeah, absolutely. Job opportunities and employment for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. What about, new home construction, uh, and or like really great areas to live? Like maybe there's, um, well, I guess this is two questions. First is, what
Okay.
about new home construction? Is there a lot of new home construction in the area?
Yes, yes. So we have a few builders in particular. I'm thinking off the top of my head, we have DRB, and they have a lot of communities in McDonough, and DR Horton and DR Horton is the largest builder in America, but
Yeah.
they are actually in McDonough as well. And so they have really great products. And what I like about new construction is that they are good at adjusting, adjusting their expectations, adjusting their prices, adjusting their incentives based on current market data. Whereas a lot of times our resale clients, they're attached to the home that they love, that they've raised their family in. They're not really ready to adjust and realize that maybe they have to expect less on that list price or offer more for incentives. But the builders, they know it because it's very corporate, it's very business oriented. And so that's what I love about the new construction is that now that the rates have shifted, they have adjusted their prices and they have adjusted their incentives. They're doing buy down on the interest rates. They're doing what they can to keep our market moving, to keep the sales going.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed
Yeah.
that too. DR Horton, I know, like, so everyone was concerned that the interest rates were going up and then therefore the monthly payment would be more. But I've noticed that DR Horton is, because they're large and they're their own lender,
Yes. Yep.
right? They're
Yep.
keeping rates low, like on new construction, and they're
Mm-hmm.
giving really great like concessions, like
Oh yeah.
uh, upgrades to the finishes,
Uh-huh.
$10,000 off closing costs, things like that.
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah,
And that's what it takes. That's what it's going to take to keep the market, to keep us moving forward and to keep people in their houses. Like, you can't have high interest rates, higher prices, and people's income isn't increasing. I mean, come on, it has to make sense. And so
right.
that's what I love about builders is that they adjusting. I mean, when we were in the height of the pandemic and things were shifting, they adjusted. I mean, they changed their contracts. The contracts read differently. And so now they're having to adjust and change their contracts for the market that we are currently in. I always say the old days was like 3 months ago. That is how
Yeah.
fast things change in real estate because of just in general, just the market and how, it's kind of like heads and shoulders, up, down, up, down. And so I love how builders are able to adjust to the current market, the state that we're in.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's
Mhm.
true. Eh, So do you think, because I haven't been in the industry as long as you have, so I haven't seen a lot of changes. I've only seen the up and
Ah,
then, you know what I
okay.
mean?
Yeah.
So, you said it changes every 3 months. Is it always up? Is it down? How does it change?
You know, when I say that, what I mean is like, so now I'll talk to clients, Mike,
Mhm.
and they're stuck in how real estate was moving back in, let's say, June or July, where it was
Right.
taking, you know, weeks, if not months, for house hunting. Like, couldn't find a house. If you did, someone else outbidded you. It was crazy, was crazy, was crazy.
Right.
If you schedule a tour of a home, there was a line outside the home and you're waiting for your opportunity to spend 15 minutes inside the home to tour it. And here we are, fast forward, we're in January of another year, and there's nothing like that.
Yes.
And like I mentioned with contracts, the contracts are different now. Expectations and procedures are different now. And so it's important and it's nothing for, I don't want a buyer or a seller to be concerned with that, because if you're hiring a professional, we understand, we're the subject matter experts. So we understand all the nuances. It's not for a seller or a buyer to be too concerned about, because they've hired us. We understand what's going on and we are moving accordingly. But things change so swiftly in real estate. Like, you can't get stuck on how things used to be. Like, it's great historical data.
Hmm.
It's great to know that things were a certain way back in July of 22. But now
Right.
we're in January of 23. It's a little bit different there. We have to accept it, be open to it, and move right along with it. So yeah, I always say, like, the old days is like 3 months ago, and they're like, wow. But
Yeah.
that was just the other thing. Yes, it was. But I mean, things just move so fast and we have to stay on it like we are now. We have to stay on top of it and keep our finger to the pulse of our industry.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about what you said is that, so home buyers, I mean, new home builders have
Mhm.
their ways of attracting buyers in this market. Um, but for sellers of homes that, existing homes like they're reselling,
Yes.
there is an important distinction that I think should be made, and that is that while the interest rate is a little higher now,
Hmm.
you're not having to find $100,000 above asking, above the offer, above the
Right.
asking price, so that you can
Yes.
just get the house, right?
Uh-huh. Hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a lot. That's a benefit, because I never understood where people were, coming up with an extra fifty
I
thousand dollars.
know it was crazy. I'm like, whoa! But I think also Georgia is a state where we offer that lifestyle that people really want, that families really want. And they're moving from other places where they feel like it's too expensive to live here in Florida, it's too expensive to live here in Texas or
Mhm.
New York or something like that. So they come here because it's affordable. They get more for their money. They're going to get that job transfer, and they don't mind spending that additional money to move in a home, like how it
Yeah,
was, in 21 and in 22, that craziness was going on. But now, I mean, buyers don't even have to be concerned with that because it's just not that type of demand like it was before, where they were offering 100,000 more than list price and dropping that in there because there was an appraisal gap. So they're dropping the cool $100,000 to purchase the home. But we don't
right.
see that much right now because, again, the market has changed. Things have shifted a little bit there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that the market needed to cool down?
I think, yeah, yeah, I do. I do. Because it was kind of like, where are we going to go? We're going to hit a brick wall.
Yeah,
Like, how high can you possibly go until it just falls apart? Like,
right.
what are we doing here? What's happening? It was craziness.
Yeah,
And it was
it
such an
was.
interesting and wild ride that we were on, and that I had never seen before. I had never experienced a market that was moving like that. And I was trying to make sense of it as I'm out here helping my clients to purchase. But I think ultimately all of my clients are very happy, even the ones that purchased during that um interesting time. I think that they're all still very happy because the goal was, I want to stop renting. I've rented
Yes.
long enough, and I want to buy a home, and I want to buy it now. And I don't care that it's during the pandemic. I'm committed to it because I understand my why, for my
Yes.
family and things. So,
Yeah, exactly. Well, I also think that if you were in the position, I mean, because remember, for me, there were lockdowns and I was locked in my house, I didn't have anywhere to go. And we were renting. So um, we had no amenities. Like we couldn't go out to a patio on the back porch, and
wow.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I understand why people would say, "Hey, I have the money. I want a yard. I want somewhere I can go outside and I can breathe fresh air and I don't have to worry about others being around me that might contaminate me, things like
Yeah.
that."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel like that there's a realization that everyone had about the value of a home, and not only the security it gives you, but
Mhm.
also the lifestyle,
Mhm.
the amenities.
You
And I
said it.
yeah, and I think you're right about the lifestyle of Atlanta, because it seems like, as when I compare our lifestyle to other areas around the country,
Uh-huh.
I feel like we have a superior, um, you know, basically environment. Like the weather here is fantastic.
The
It's not
4
too hot.
seasons, I
Exactly.
love.
Yeah, me too. And the home prices are lower than everywhere else, I believe,
Mhm.
and you
Mhm.
get more for the money.
Mhm.
So I mean, I feel like it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Atlanta is a really great place.
Yeah. I believe we received a huge influx of um, out of towners that moved here, that sold their homes and made several several $100,000. And so coming here and dropping that type of money on a home here, they're still winning because they made so much money with their sale of their home or sell whatever they were selling, their real estate, home or buildings or whatever. And so then coming here and, you know, spending that money on a home here, it still made sense, even in the height of the pandemic, even in the height of homes appreciating at a very rapid rate. It still made sense for them, you know.
Right.
So
Yes. I
yeah.
agree. I agree.
Mhm.
And I know that a lot of exactly what you're saying, and there's certain areas that I'm aware of where people, like, maybe they were empty nesters and they really just wanted to downsize, you
Yes.
know?
Mhm.
So they moved to Atlanta and they moved into, let's say, a townhome, but
Yep.
it's close to shopping, close to entertainment. They can, close to a park, they can walk every day,
Yep.
that kind of lifestyle that they really, enjoy and appreciate.
Absolutely. You're right. Mhm.
So what about other areas in McDonough that are like up and coming, right? So they're like maybe property values are low, but they're prime targets for first time home buyers to come in and fix up. Are there any areas like that?
Well, I would say just if we're focusing on maybe just Henry County, an area that may be a bit more up and coming, but it's a little bit further down 75 South is Locust Grove. And
Okay.
it's like the next city over, basically. Um, that is somewhat of up and coming because it's still a little bit, not as developed as McDonough is. And so I believe that over time, the development will trickle on down to Locust Grove, and Locust Grove will open up some more to home to be more desirable for home buyers. There isn't much of opportunity right now for any fix and flips. We're just
Okay.
not in that market right now.
Okay.
But real estate is kind of like it's like it's just a cycle. So we'll probably cycle back around to there being more opportunity for fix and flips. And perhaps maybe some foreclosures and short sales, but not having foreclosures is pretty good because that means that people are able to stay in their homes, and
Right.
so that's really important. We foreclosures is cool when you think about, oh, it's a discounted price for real estate, but that means that someone lost hard.
Yeah.
Someone has gotten displaced out of their home there. So but I don't see a lot of opportunity for any fix and flips or short sales or foreclosures. But I mean, definitely, just resales and new construction is really like a booming thing right now.
Okay. Okay. That's
Yeah.
good to know. That's good to know. I also saw some data that said that they were thinking that 2024 would be great time for refinancing
Hmm.
because of the way the interest rates are working and how they'll go down and everything. So,
Yes. I've been reading a lot of information too and just seeing like all these different predictions on what things would look like in 24.
uh
And so it's interesting. So I haven't read anything that was mm, negative or made me feel like, uh-oh, we're in trouble. I've been reading predictions that it's looking very hopeful and it's looking good, and
yeah,
things like that. So that's really great to know,
yeah, yeah, it is. I
to be
mean,
on the positive side of instead of being negative.
right, exactly. And I feel like all this happened for a reason, and it's not really that bad. I know that home sales are down, and people, there's less buyers, and inventory is increasing a little bit, but I mean, the affordability factor of a home seems to be coming back towards being approachable.
It really is. I was just doing my market snapshot a few days ago. I just released it on my Instagram page and my LinkedIn page and Facebook too. And I've with that research and just in just certain cities, I've seen that some cities have values have gone up just a smidget and some have gone down. So it
Mm,
all just depends. Some sales, there have been more houses on the market in comparison to last month. Well, if we're comparing, say, December to November, the changes have been kind of fluctuating. So from like November to December, I've been seeing like some increases in certain areas on the homes available, and then like some decreases on the prices. So everything is just kind of trying to adjust in little small ways depending on the city. So it's just, got to keep your finger on the pulse of the area. But overall, I think that there are less homes available still. That hasn't changed. We don't have like this huge influx of homes available, but we still have a nice amount of people who are interested in buying right now. So the market hasn't stopped. It's still moving. We're still selling homes. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And do you think that it's a good time to buy a home right now? I mean, some would say that it's always a good time to buy a home, but that is if you want to stay there for 5 years, or longer.
That's a good point that you made there, because when that question is always tough to answer, because I think that question, it just depends on what that person is wanting, that particular buyer. Like, what is your goal? Do you want to buy a home and you want to flip it? Well, then no, this is not a good time.
Right.
If you want to buy a home and you're going to stay in there for 5, 7, 10 years, raise the kids up, and then figure out where you and your husband are going to move afterwards. Yes.
Yeah.
But, so it just all kind of depends on like, what is the goal of the client there? What are we wanting to do here? Because it could be a great time for one person to buy and then a terrible time for someone else to buy. It just all depends on what their goal is.
Right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is a perfect place to end this. Miss Shonnie, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast today. If you're looking for an expert in Henry County, Miss Shonnie is the go-to expert for all things real estate and appraisal. And hey, join the rocket ship. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment below so that the YouTube algorithm knows that you like this kind of content. Exactly. And make sure to subscribe to Miss Shonnie's YouTube channel, her Instagram. She has all kinds of great content. I know you're going to love it.
Yes, and I thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Mike. It was a pleasure being on here. It's an honor to be one of your guests. And yes, good luck, everyone, on your home selling and buying endeavors.
Exactly. Well, thanks, everyone. We appreciate it. We'll see you in the next one.